Hello there folks, this is Ferengi on board here again with a video, this time on the idea of happiness. Okay, now let's discuss a bit about what this happiness actually would be, and well, is it actually something good or is it actually something not necessarily good? Well, let's find out. So, in the end, what exactly is happiness? Many people, if you ask them, they won't necessarily understand what happiness would actually be. Well, stands a bit more like this situation. Okay, so happiness is actually a state, but it is more like a state of mind because happiness is not something that happens to you, it's more like something that you choose to accept. You choose it to happen. Okay, so just like being sad, just like being miserable, these are all just states of mind. Just like being rich and just like being poor. Okay, poverty is another state of mind because in the end you are choosing not to do anything to improve your existence, therefore you will remain a poor person. Now, regarding happiness, the idea is very simple. Okay, so happiness is something that kind of everyone enjoys, and well, it kind of feels good. So, in the end, is happiness actually something nice? We are told, but by different so-called gurus, because I'm not exactly sure how you define a guru, but well, it's much easier when you find a person that has extreme depth, okay, and can control their urges and themselves very well, and you can easily call those enlightened persons. But there are very many people who say that our purpose on this life, in this life, or whatever you want to call it, is to enjoy happiness. Now, in a way, this kind of sounds more like you know a technique of manipulation because, well, I like diving really deep, and just looking at happiness, it's kind of way too plain for me to think that, hey, you know what? Why on earth would actually entities come here? Okay, like, do they actually come for happiness in the end? I mean, aren't these souls actually entities who come from higher planes, right? From like fifth, sixth, ninth dimension, probably. And everyone says that there is utter joy and complete happiness and bliss, and it's like, okay, like, must be really boring out there, like, literally, if you have only bliss. It's like, what the fuck? Imagine this world being fully blissful. It's like, okay, it would be nice, it would be good, but it's like sooner or later you'll kind of get bored. Okay, it's like literally you will get bored. Okay, um so my opinion is that you know um, these spirits that we also are parts, like some of them, okay, these come from different you know environments, universes, okay, and well, they are interested in experiencing life. Some will tell you that you might be a Pleiadian. Some will tell you that you are a Arcturian or whatever. Like, I literally read about traits of Arcturian souls, traits of Pleiadian souls, traits of Sirius folks, traits of Andromedan spirits, and I kind of have to say, it's like, what the fuck? It's like, I actually gave up reading on that source because it had ideas on how to, well, let's say, identify yourself as a possible one of the 10, or I don't know, more important species, like Lemurians, Arcturians, Pleiadians, and it's like I read four of them at random, right? And I went for Pleiades because this is something more like well known. Arcturians because they are considered kind of the best all around in terms of technology and wisdom and the such. Pleiadians are very more sensitive. They are very much about um, the idea of communion, okay, and even intimacy, and well, others. And out of those four, I was like, dude, I'm like 70% of these. Is like, what the heck am I? Like, have I actually been through all of these? Is like, was I born instantly on each? Now, the point is, if you happen to identify yourself with more of those traits, chances are you've actually lived on different realms in there. Now, the thing that we have been taught about the universe is that, well, it's not that vast space with stars and systems and just that. Basically, there are different vibrations of the universe, so basically, it's like more dimensions of the universe in the same, well, what we call universe. So let's say Pleiades, for example, can be a sixth dimensional, or I don't know, probably even seventh dimensional, let's say, part of the universe. Now, the point is that it would be seventh dimensional, most likely in terms of consciousness, okay, conscientiousness, because I don't know if it's actually seven dimensional in terms of physicality, okay. Of course, astronomy and scientists will say that, hey, you know what, it's definitely three-dimensional because we have seen it through Hubble, okay, and why is it that in your scientific forums you actually still have debates that the earth is flat or not, okay. It's like, should I actually be really trusting you? It's like you don't even have a simple thing, okay, a single piece of evidence that is undeniable, okay, unassailable, that the earth would actually be round. Now, honestly, to me it doesn't even matter if the earth is round or if the earth is flat, okay, because basically there are more important things in life, and I know that my purpose is to create. I don't simply care if the earth is actually rounded or if the earth is actually flat. We all live on Mother Gaia, so the point is, what would it actually matter? It can be that the earth might be flat at probably higher dimensions, okay, because there are multiple dimensions, okay, and each is just a representative of your vibration. You will see that based on your vibration, your brain, your mind, and your perceptions will simply align themselves to that. Vineri. Da. Plăcere. Mă lași acum că nu pot să vorbesc. Okay, so as I was saying, the point is very simple. Based on your vibration, the point is that you will attune your mind to different, well, peculiarities, let's say, or things that will vibrate around that, okay, because perception equals reality. So if you are lower vibrational, you will see the lower vibrational part of people, and your mind will automatically attune itself to that. It's called mirror neurons and other neuron types that will always seek evidence of whatever you are thinking. It is a way of parasites pulling you down, because they will give you certain bad ideas and your mind cannot simply be stopped. So the point is, they just put some shit inside you and they just bet the fact that, well, your mind not being trained, it will keep creating and replicating that idea. It's the same principle with parasites. They don't necessarily exist and they cannot reproduce themselves, but they insert a malicious code in the higher hosts that they find, and those hosts will replicate the virus instead. It's the same principle. Well, approximately the same principle, okay. Now, with this idea of perception, okay, we have happiness, okay. So happiness, again, I'm gonna speak about the fact that, humans have created a lot of concepts, a lot of words, and kind of have forgotten what they specifically mean, because happiness, people will put happiness as a synonym to the idea of fulfillment, which is kind of a bad comparison, okay. Now, the idea of happiness and fulfillment is, well, they are indeed somewhat synonymous, but happiness is something more generalized. Like, literally anything you do, it doesn't necessarily have to fulfill you, because it might be just a little bit of something that eventually will fulfill you, but you're still happy that you have achieved it, okay. Now, the point with happiness is, it kind of is a bad opinion. It is a bad, in a way, bad thingy, because when you feel happy, you're kind of becoming complacent, and you can actually see that many people will do a certain thing just to be happy for, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours, but then the misery in their life will simply draw them back. Parasitic entities won't allow you to be happy. But on the other hand, they can actually allow you to be happy because it is another trick that they will deploy to, well, lower your vibration. If they make you feel happy in a way, the point is, the purpose usually is that you will become complacent and you will actually become more docile. Think about masturbation, for example. It is an example of instant gratification. Instead of finding yourself a partner, developing a relationship, and developing some healthy sexuality, people just indulge in masturbation because it's the easiest way of actually reaching an orgasm, and you get the impression that you are happy at the end. But the point is, you're actually drawing in a lot of misery because you're putting out energy when you release, as a woman and as a man, okay? It's creational energy. It's life energy because it belongs to the second chakra, which represents the force of creation and the force of, vitality. That is why people who masturbate a lot are very, they are kind of fragile in a way. They are kind of energy less, and also they are very miserable because once you give out that positive, or let's say somewhat positive energy, somewhat creational energy, you can actually feel that for a while you simply are no longer that capable of thinking, concentrating, and at times probably even your concentration and imagination are kind of hindered. Okay, and what happens is, well, when you let that energy go out, you kind of create a void, and the problem is that void will easily be replaced by, well, a lot of filth that most likely exists around you. And if you don't have that much filth, well, the parasites that control you, because most likely you have masturbated, well, more or less because of at least one parasite, they will actually fill you with a lot of misery so that you remain in check, okay? So that you don't advance yourself. Why do you think that resisting masturbation and sexual temptations is one of the hardest things ever? Because it is easy to indulge in it, and, well, it is one of the basic, wirings of the brain. If you can do something much faster, you'll always tend to do that. It's simple animalistic instinct, okay? Now, the reason why parasites don't, parasite animals that much is because humans are much better of a challenge, okay? Humans have a lot more perception, they have a lot more awareness, and it's much better if they also get to use part of that as well. If you parasite a dog, it's like most likely it won't do anything else. It's probably gonna become a bit more aggressive, a bit more territorial, and, well, kind of that. But with humans, oh, you can manipulate others, you can find yourself slaves, you can, at times humans might even, react and be more docile than animals themselves. Now, happiness, I'm gonna, kind of wrap this video. Happiness is a good feeling if you let it be, but do not let yourself, indulge into this idea of happiness. Because happiness indeed is a state of mind. It is something that we should indulge somewhat in, okay, but we should not become complacent, okay, because happiness usually invites complacency in the life of many people. So the problem is, the happier some people are, they usually will be happy for a period of time because they will become complacent, they won't do anything at all, and, well, they will start dying. Because if you're not evolving, well, you're kind of dying, okay? Not necessarily physically, because we already have an expiry date. We don't know it exactly, but, we kind of have that expiry date anyways. So, well, happiness is not necessarily something bad, but as usual, it depends how you use it. It's just like, let's call it a chain, okay? A chain is a chain even if you don't call it a chain. That's why I don't like concepts. It's because I can look at a tree without actually calling it a tree. It's gonna exist there, and it's gonna have the same specifics, okay? Even if I call it a tree or a butterfly or whatever, okay? So the idea of a chain is if you have at least one neuron that functions, okay, and you can understand some principles. Even if you don't, and you just take it and, look at it and probably open it and, close it, probably you'll figure out that you can actually cuff someone or something with it. So now, what can you actually do with a chain? Well, you can chain yourself if you want, you can chain someone, or you can simply let it be. it's still gonna be the same object even if you call it a chain or not in the end. It's the same thing with happiness. You want to use it to become complacent? Well, go ahead. You want to use it to improve yourself? Again, go ahead. It's your choice. And don't forget, life is always an idea of choice. Okay? Now, well, one last thing I can say is like namaste. Have an awesome existence, have an awesome life also. Try to make the best towards that. And, well, you are loved and appreciated, all I can say. Now, take more care of yourself. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like my type of content, or at least share it with people so that, we all have more or less of a purpose in, expanding the consciousness of humanity. I'm not interested in doing this alone because although I know I can do it more or less, it's always better when you actually have more help, okay? Until next time, Ferenc on board signing out.